A very warm welcome to everyone joining us for today's special webinar hosted by PsychSpace. Decode yourself, the psychology behind career choices. Discover how your personality, interests, and values shape your ideal career path. So, in today's fast changing world, choosing a career can often feel confusing and overwhelming. This session is all about understanding ourselves better, uncovering the psychological side of career decision making, and exploring how self awareness can help us find direction, purpose, and satisfaction in what we do. Today, we have with us Ms. Yeja Chaudhary, who has completed her master's in clinical psychology from Christ University. She has been working in the field from a very young age, passionately advocating for mental health awareness and helping individuals discover their potential through counseling and psychological guidance. She is also an expressive arts practitioner using creative approaches to facilitate healing and self discovery. We thank her for joining us today and sharing her time and expertise with us. I am Gopika Dalmia and I'll be moderating this session. I have completed my master's in clinical psychology and currently working as a psychologist as a psych space. Let's dive into the insightful discussion on understanding ourselves better and how psychology can guide us in shaping our careers with clarity and confidence. So let's begin with the discussion. So, choosing the right career often feels overwhelming, especially when there's so much of external influence from parents, peers, and even societal expectations. From a, from a psychological perspective, how can individuals truly understand their own interest and values beyond what others expect of them? So, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Right, Gopika. So, just give me 1 minute. Right. So, when we talk about like how individual truly understands their interests, their values, what as an Indian society, what we always think is that we always look from when we think about career, we always see it from a very external point of view. We see it from a very external lens, right? We hardly give ourselves the time, we hardly give ourselves the energy to understand what we like or what are our interest areas. So one of the areas where you can, definitely work is, reflecting on what is your like, what energizes you, and what is your like and dislike, right? Because in the long run, if we pick any career path for ourselves which we have no interest in, which we do not have much idea or interest, but we are doing it because everyone is doing it, or we are doing it because it's in trend right now, it's what our parents want, or it's what my grandparent want me to do, right? Without having any interest or drive to work for that particular career path, you would see yourself draining in the future very soon, right? Because there wouldn't be a motivating factor for you to keep doing the work. And when we talk about career, we should understand that it's not like attending one class or going to one lecture, right? It's a very long process where your life becomes that career becomes a part of your life, and you have to indulge yourself on a regular basis on that particular career path that you have chosen, right? So number one thing that people should try to understand is that try to reflect what energizes you, what do you like, your nervous system, your interest areas would definitely give you ideas where you feel more passionate about, you feel more motivated about, right? And if you actually identify what are the areas that you actually enjoy working in, what are the areas that actually motivates you, passionates you, and interests you, which is beyond anyone's expectation, beyond anyone's interest, but it's coming very intrinsically from your side, it's coming from your end, like and it's very internal thing that you have, that you're passionate about human rights, you're passionate about politics, you're passionate about psychology, or you're passionate about fashion design, right? So when you have that passion, it definitely helps you to, burn out. I'm not saying that choosing the career that you like the most would never result you in burnout. That's not what I'm trying to mean here. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that if you align your passion, your interest with the career that you're working currently, it will definitely help you to be stable in that field, be more actively working in that field, and enjoy working. At the end of the day, it has to come from our side that we enjoy. Another very important thing which comes when we talk about interest or values, which is beyond people's expectation, is that trying to have different experience, right? For example, if I was born and since my birth, my parents wanted me to be a doctor, right? Now, as a child, I have no idea what are what are different professions available, what are the different fields available, what can I do for the long term in my life and how can I work, right? But if my parents have me, giving me one route for my career, that is to become a medical doctor or to be a doctor, and I wouldn't be able to experience anything else beyond that, right? So, and then at one point, I would feel that what am I even good at, you know? Because all your life you have just set one goal. You did not even know that profession or that career was never your idea or was never your interest. It's just what people wanted you to become, right? So, and after that, there will be a point if one day one day you wake up and you are done being a doctor. You do not want to work in this field anymore because you're feeling fatigue, you're feeling burnout, you're feeling all sort of, symptoms, and you're feeling all of these things, and you do not have any liking towards this particular field, then there will be a huge identity crisis, because you have never explored yourself apart from this particular career path, right? So what I'm trying to highlight here, or what I'm trying to say here, is that children and young adults should be motivated and should be encouraged to have different experiences in their life, not just only the traditional pathway that they have or someone else have believed in them that they can do it. Now the question is, how can we do that? Money is a very important thing because not everyone can do all sort of diploma, all sort of things. Start from volunteering, you know give give a volunteering ship to anything that you like. If you like working for people, maybe volunteer in an NGO. If you like working in, whatever your interest area is, internship, volunteeringship, then short courses, shadowing professionals, then, these are the areas which will help you to understand that, oh, I have an interest in this, I have an interest in that, I like doing this or I like doing that, right? When you have multiple experiences in your life, it would definitely help you to pick the experience which you love the most. And henceforth, when you do professional courses in that particular interest, it would also help you to understand that, yeah, that this is the area which I would love to see myself more working in, and which will inspire me to do more things and which motivates me, right? And when we talk about external expectations and about expectations from other people, one thing that we always need to understand is that we need to learn how to separate the inner voice and then the external expectations which someone has, right? What is that something I genuinely want to do, or I genuinely love seeing myself, apart from the monetary aspect, apart from all of the aspects? If there was no profession which had money assigned to it, and if you could do anything in this world, what would you love to do? you know so see it from that perspective, so that you at least have this normal conversations for yourself where you know your interest, where you know that what you love the most and something that you can do for the rest of your life and you would enjoy doing it, right? So when you separate your internal voice from the external expectations and external voices that you have, it definitely helps you to understand that what am I most into it. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of adults and even a lot of older adults do not even know their interest area. They always did and they always have done things that were told to them or things that externally people expect them to do. You know, to be a police person, to be a policeman, to be into civil services, to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to be, you know, all the traditional things or whatever the society has expectations, or family have expectations on you. So having that, you know, lens, having the clarity within yourself that you genuinely understand what you like the most, even if that doesn't become your passive way of, even if that doesn't become your active way of earning, it can definitely be a passive way of, you know, passive business, passive hustle, where from which you can also have external, you know, additional money flowing in your this thing, and which would actually make you more happy or very motivated to do that particular part. So yeah, I think these are the few areas. If you actually reflect on what you like, if you actually try to have different experiences and try to learn to separate the inner voice and the external expectation, it will definitely help you to understand your interest, your value beyond what other people expect you to do.
That's such an important reminder because at the end of the day, understanding ourselves is the first step to making choices that actually feel right for us, not just look right from the outside. Which brings me to also another discussion that many people today struggle with what's often called as career identity crisis, that feeling of being lost or unsure even after choosing a field. I have noticed that this confusion often stems from not fully knowing ourselves or from trying to fit into paths that don't really align with who we are. From a psychological standpoint, ma'am, what do you think, like what factors to this sense of uncertainty and inner conflict when it comes to the career choices?
Right, Bhupika. I already touched the identity crisis in the beginning. So, you know, when we talk about specifically about career identity crisis, this particularly emerges from, you know, a pressure that, you know, I need to decide early. You know, abhi agar decide nahi hoga, so what am I going to do in the future? Or, you know, the kind of expectations that we set on ourselves, you know, to do something that jaldi karna padega. We have to get the things done. You know, I need to decide a career which is going to be there for me, and I cannot mess it up. You know, this is where this is where the, you know, pressure builds. The whole idea of thinking that I need to decide early. I'm not saying that decisions are not important. You don't have to decide your career. Definitely, you need to do that, but what I mean to say is that beyond, like, rather than just pressurizing yourself to understand and to see, like, you know, how things are, if you just pressurize yourself to decide early and us decision make, if you pick anything, you know, we see time to time that people end up taking certain career or certain job or certain courses or, you know, certain courses just because they needed to make a decision, and they have no idea why they have to it, because someone told them it's good, because they heard somewhere it's good, because they have seen their brother or their sister doing it or their cousin doing it, and they just do it. That is it. And there is no other reason of them picking up. This also brings to a point the comparison. There is a lot of comparison between young adults, between the young teenagers, that meko ye to karna hi padega, right? So that basically builds up the career identity crisis. So a career identity crisis happens when a person feels confused, stuck, or unsure, or conflicted about what am I supposed to do professionally? What exactly do I want to be? Or, what directions fit me as as a person plus my values. So values matters a lot when you take a profession. Some people are such good at pitching sales. Some people are so good at the whole at sales and in certain areas, but some people are not. And that is because their values don't align as a person. They do not see themselves as that particular person who can pitch something in front of a huge crowd, who can go to door to people and sell something or talk about a product or talk about something, right? But there are people who are huge businessmen who have accomplished a lot in their life doing sales, right? Now, what is that? Because they aligned their values and them as a person and their personality matches with the things that they have opted for, right? So when there are these confusions where people feel confused, stuck, or unsure about their career path and who they want to be professionally, this is where career identity crisis emerges from, right? Now there are a lot of reason why this happens, because you're unsure about yourself. You do not know what are your strong areas, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, right? And while growing up as student, our education system never actually highlights what we want to do or what are our interest area or what are the strengths that we have as an individual, right? So that is also another reason why a lot of people just go haywire and they don't understand. Another very important factor in the contribution of career identity crisis is the expectation or the parental expectation, be it your family expectation, be it the cultural norm, the societal norm, whatever you have. When there is a disalignment between those expectations and what you want to do and how the career or the field is treating you, then there comes a career identity crisis. And then when you feel that, you feel lost, you feel confused, right? Another very important factor that contributes career identity crisis is the fear of instability or making the wrong choice, that should I do this, should I do that? Now, I'll go back to the first answer that I gave again. Always remember that it is important for you to have experiences. Even if you chose a career where you thought that you get A's and you can work it off, but it did not work out for you, that does not mean that that you are a complete failure, right? What it means, what it tells you is that maybe that is not my cup of tea, right? I know time chala jata hai, money chala jata hai, a lot of things have been invested and wasted, but at the same time, you always learn something, right? You cannot do an MBA course for how many years without learning nothing out of it. You're definitely going to learn something and you're definitely going to use that knowledge or use that thing in your future life as well, right? So shifting the narrative thinking shifting the narrative from making the wrong choice to seeing from a perspective that it's okay, it did not fit my cup or it did not suit me, but that does not mean that I did not learn anything, right? There are so many professionals who earlier started their career in a very different subject or in a very different field, but they end up being professional in some other field. Now, why does that happen? That happens because they have experiences. They learn that particular field did not suit me, or while working in that field, they understood their interest area, right? So if there's any kid who's watching us right now who is confused about this entire thing about the career and all of these things, always remember one thing: whenever you put efforts in something, it is never going to go waste. You are definitely going to use those skills, those lessons, those knowledge somewhere around the future in your life for sure. Maybe the expectation did not flow as you wanted it to be, but that does not mean that your efforts have been wasted. Never. It will definitely going to help you sooner or later in your life, right? So, comparison, the pressure of being making early decisions. parental and societal and the cultural norms and expectations, the fear of instability, making the wrong choice, comparison. These are the whole areas that contributes to career identity crisis, Gopika.
I completely agree, and it is so interesting how so much of a career confusion is rooted in the self concept as well. And once we start connecting with who we really are, our direction begins to make a lot more sense. And I think what adds to this confusion is the lack of proper guidance as well. And many people nowadays take assessments or make big career decisions without really understanding themselves first. In that sense, ma'am, how do you think career assessments or counseling help individuals navigate their choices more confidently and make sense of their strengths, values, and long term goals?
Right. So I'll just start from career counseling first, right? So whenever we talk about career counseling, please understand one thing that it's not a quick fix. You're not going to get the proper, proper answer, like a one word answer if you need, like what am I good, what is my career going to be look like? What am I good at, right? You're not going to get one word answer to it. Career counseling, or is a very structural psychological process where the counselor guides you throughout the process. It helps you to understand your value, your interest areas, your personalities, the skills you have, your life goals, right? uh, they dive down into a lot of different dynamics and a lot of different domains of your interest area and your life, and how do you see career as a whole, right? And what interests you the most? What are your values? What are your strengths? And then they choose, then they help you to guide you to understand which professions has similar strengths, have similar interests, have similar values that you also aspire, that you also have in your life, right? And together, once you have the understand the clarity and the introspect, when you do the introspection part of your part, and when the counselor helps you to understand your strengths, value, interest, personality skills, and your goals, then it is by far more easier for you to understand that what profession am I, easily attracted to, what profession aligns with who I am right now, and what are my this thing. Please know that career counseling is never giving advices. No counselor, if there's any counselor who give you advice, that is not correct as a counselor, right? Career counselor will only help you to guide you to see the whole picture. If you're seeing it only from a 90 angle degree, it will help you to see a 360-degree out of the entire picture, right? It will help you to understand, it will help you to dive down into a lot of areas, and sooner you'll understand that it will leave you with a sense of identity, and it will leave you with a sense of clarity, and together with identity and clarity, it will help you to understand that what are the field that aligns with my interest area and which aligns with the person who I am, right? So that is how career counseling helps you. So people who are doing their 10th right now, 12th right now, these are the perfect area. These are the perfect time where you can do a quick assessment, a quick career counseling, or a quick psychological test, which will help you to understand, right? What are your strong areas and who you are as an adult, right? Then before going to colleges as well, you can do that. And before you even give your 10th, that in your 8th, in your ninth standard, you can definitely do a career, you can definitely do a career counseling, you can definitely do take an assessment to understand yourself. Now when I talk about assessments, assessments helps you, assess career assessments, or any assessments which helps you to understand your career, is a very structured evaluation process which A is standardized, B it has to have proper psychometric properties, which will help you to understand the areas that I have mentioned before: interest, strength, aptitude, values, personality. Right? These are the areas on which they work. Right? Different assessment works in different areas, but if you see the majority of it, all of these career assessment definitely works on the interest, strength, aptitude, value, and personality. Right? So once you have a clarity on these areas of yourself, the assessment will highlight certain fields which requires these aptitude, which requires these interest or strength, and henceforth you understand that I'm good at sales, maybe I'm good at helping people. So helping people, if you say NGO, mental health, medical professionals, all of these things, right? I'm good at creative things, fashion designing, arts, or whatever other creative aspects that you have: film direction, movie making, photography, then cinematography. All of these things would help in the creative field as well, right? So that is how career assessment helps you. It is not something that you do the assessment and the assessment is going to say that you can be a psychologist or you can be an engineer. No, that is not how career assessment helps you. But it will give you much more deeper idea about yourself, and it will just this is just one part of, like, understanding yourself in a closer way, right? So that is how career assessments also helps you. So uh, if you actually help if you actually speak if you actually speak with counselors, and if you speak with mental health professionals, you see them, they would help you to understand your motivating factor. What are your like, they will help you to understand and differentiate between the conditional aspirations that you have or the authentic aspirations that you have, right? Now when I say conditional aspiration, I mean that we, like I said in the beginning, we are conditioned in a way to aspire about certain profession rather than the rest of the profession. Now why does that happen? If it comes within you, then that's an authentic aspiration that you have, that you want to be. If it has been conditioned, for example, it has been told by your parents, or your sibling, for your grandparents, your teachers, your friends, that is a conditioned aspiration that made you make a decision, right? Now the counselor will help you to understand the differential between the conditioned aspiration and the authentic aspirations that you have for yourself. You can just see this as, like, they will help you to have the insight, and they will help you to make a plan for yourself, but not give you an answer that you can be a doctor, or you can be a singer or something like that. That is not how they help you. They will give you to see an overall picture of the entire areas that you are strong, that you have strength, and that you can definitely work in. Right? So these are the ways how people actually get benefited through career counseling and assessment. And even in site space, we have career assessments. We help people, we help students to to identify their interests, their aptitude, and their preferred working environment, their personality needs and the types, which helps them to understand that what suits them the most, which field suits them the most, right? So if any one of you who's listening to us right now, if you're also interested, to have career assessment done, it is an online AI-based psychometric tool which we have developed, and it will definitely help you to understand your personality needs, your interest area, and the field that that aligns perfectly, or that aligns most closely to who you are, right? So yeah, that is all from my end, Gopika, like on career counseling and assessments.
That's very true. Like career assessments, when used thoughtfully, can actually help us see ourselves more clearly. It's not about getting answers, but it is all about asking the right questions about what truly drives you. Yeah, so as we wrap up, could you please share one piece of advice for young people who are still figuring out what they want to do? Something that can help them stay patient and authentic while exploring their career journey.
Right. If I have to give an advice, I would definitely say that please take your time. As generic as this sound, as cliche as this sound, please take your time and please give yourself a permission to experiment, to make mistake, to change direction. Do not feel that if you change direction, there is a huge repercussion that's going to happen. Your life is going to be over on all of these things. Life, you would only understand what fits you the most only when you have experiences on these areas, right? If you have never experienced something, how can you even make a conclusion that this would not fit you at all, right? So take your time. Careers are in today's generation and today's century, careers are no longer a straight line. It's a huge tangled area and tangled line. Think it in that perspective. And it's no more a straight line that you study this, you'll do this, and you'll end up with jobs of that particular area. It's not like that. The competitions are high. There are a lot of emerging degrees and emerging fields of work, and there are a lot of areas where AI has taken over control, and people are losing their job because of those things, and because the areas are no longer needed manual work to it, right? So in today's generation, the kind of things that we this kind of struggle or the kind of difficulties that we have right now is not similar to what our parents or our grandparents have gone through. Please always keep this in mind, right? The generation is different, the century is different, the tech world is different, the entire need of fields and the professionals are very different right now, right? It's not its career is not a straight line anymore, right? So give yourself the permission to experiment, to make mistake, and change directions without any shame, right? Growth only comes not only choosing the perfect career for yourself, but from choosing honestly, what you like the most, to understand yourself. And above all, please trust yourself, be patient, and definitely, experiment with your life, with things that you want to do. And if you want to have a professional help, if you want to take a professional help, definitely opt for any career counseling, opt for any psychologist or counselors, which will help you to understand your areas of interest, your areas of strong potentials that you have, and that will completely align, that will bring a step closer to you, to the profession or to the field that requires you the most. Because at the end of the day, it's the happiness and it's the stability and it's the satisfaction that we always crave, right? And when you pick up wrong career, it's not just a mistake. It's not a mistake. It is just you just need to redirect yourself, realign yourself, and start working as hard as you were working the other way around, right? So yeah, that this would be, if I have to give any sort of advice, I wouldn't call it an advice because it's coming from a very personal, experience. So it's not an advice, but this is something that I have done in my life. I have experimented, I have taken my time, and I have aligned myself to the profession or to the person who I am with my values, with my interest areas. And that is the reason why I'm serving people right now. That is the reason why I advocate for mental health, because I strongly believe on it and I strongly work for it. And it interests me a lot and it makes me happy at the end of the day. So, yeah, please align yourself, take your time, and do not forget to experiment and without the shame or the guilt of experimenting, right? So, yeah, that's all from my end, Gopika. Thank you.
Beautifully said. I think that's something we all need to hear more often, and that it's okay to take time to grow into your path rather than rush to define it. And thank you so much, Miss Yeja, for sharing such insightful perspective with us today. We truly appreciate the depth and the clarity you brought to this conversation, helping us understand how psychology can guide self discovery and career choices in a more meaningful way. So, today's discussion reminded us that choosing a career isn't just about external success, but it's about understanding ourselves, our values, and what truly gives us a sense of purpose and fulfillment. On behalf of the entire PsychSpace team, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for taking the time to be with us and sharing your expertise. And of course, a big thank you to everyone who joined us today. Your presence and participation made this session even more special. For more such meaningful conversation and mental health resources, make sure to follow PsychSpace on all social media platforms. And remember, if you need any professional help or guidance, we are just a message away. Thank you once again, everyone, for being here. So, this is Gopika Dalmia signing off today's webinar. Decode Yourself, the psychology behind career choices. Have a wonderful evening.